Okay, let's start building this baby. First we want to do is you want to make the display itself. So go 5 wide and then on top of that make an 8 with glowstone lamps. And then all the missing gaps, I don't know, I use obsidian because it looks cool in the oCd-pack, but it can be any material you want. So this is going to be my display. Now on the ground I sort of want to show already where the feed tape is going to be, so you get an idea. So it's basically 3 blocks from the display from the right, and this is where the feed tape will be running. Well, it's not here but like above, so you get the general idea. Now before we start building the piston tape and all the other horrible stuff, we're going to start by building the clock, which is below. And we're going to do that now because now we can still see what the hell is going on. And trust me, in a moment it's going to become quite a mess. So just building a sort of standard pulse shortener, which is common in many clocks. Sticky piston with a solid block. Then we're going to send that in here. Now this is also going to function as sort of a reference, so you can easily put the blocks where they have to be. Now we're going to make the clock circle, basically. It might look really weird, but that has to do with other stuff that's going to get in the way. So we're already taking all that into account right now. Redstone there. And then these are all just 1 tick repeaters. And that one is actually just redstone. So like that. Now we can test it. Just put a lever, stick it on here. And as you can see, it's going to circle around. And as some of you might have noticed already, the clock is only 5 ticks, even though the display is going to eventually show seconds. But that has to do with the way I set up my piston tapes. I always have my piston tapes running twice as slow as the clock it's hooked up to, and it helps it to stop faster when you basically cut the clock, so that it doesn't do 1 extra cycle basically. But we'll get to that later. Okay, now get out your non-sticky pistons because you're going to be needing quite a lot. I'm just placing blocks as sort of a reference on as to where we're going to put them, and the last one's actually underneath here. But there are 7 segments in a 7-segment display, so we're going to need 7 tapes. So that's 7 non-sticky pistons per side of the feed tape to be able to spin it all the way around. So it's 7 like that. Make sure they're all facing inwards. So you end up with 4 towers of non-sticky pistons like that. Now we're going to make the purple circuit, which is a circuit needed to get the data from the feed tape. Now, right next to that block, place a purple or a solid block torch next to that, and then get a repeater like that, and we're going to repeat this process all the way up. So every new block you place is going to house a torch to the side and a repeater on top. I have no idea why it's raining so much. Must be in a swamp biome or something. It's really annoying actually. But yeah, just repeat this process all the way until you at the same level as the top pistons. So like that, make sure everything's powered, but as you can see there's still plenty of room for the feed tape to run around. And now that we have all these pistons, we can start wiring them up. And we'll be using glowstone technology, sort of sense, to power everything. What you're going to get is a glowstone tower, which will quickly send the signal upwards, powering all the pistons. And then on the other side, you're going to get orange blocks like that, and then 3-tick repeaters, and also, yeah, no, glowstone not needed at the top, but also glowstone like that. Glowstone, I mean red. I mean redstone dust. Excuse me. Okay. On the other side, something sort of similar. No repeater though. Just send it straight up there. So again, we have a glowstone tower, which will compactly send the signal upwards without any delays. And then on the other side, we're going to get a similar setup where we have a bunch of repeaters on 3-tick delay, hooked up like this. And if I now fire it like this, you can see that these two pistons are actually going twice as slow as these ones. That's due to pulse lengthening, which is happening here. But it might seem weird, but that's actually a very good thing. It's probably a wise idea to check if you've wired up the pistons correctly. What you can do is you can just get a, actually at the top, just get a tape in there. It's going to have 2 gaps in 2 corners. It doesn't exactly which corners, as long as they're opposite to each other, the tape will fix itself afterwards. So now if I activate the lever, as you can see, the tape is running twice as slow as the pistons extending underneath. And the nice thing about the way I've wired it up now, which is how I always wire up my piston tapes, is if I cut the power, it doesn't do an extra cycle. It just immediately, you have to look at the blocks being there. When I stop it, it stops always. It doesn't do it doesn't move them one extra thing, it just instantly responds. This is also something I used in my rotating combination lock. And if you haven't seen that thing, you should check it out. It's pretty crazy. It's a 1 billion over a billion combinations lock that only uses 2 levers. And is actually super compact. Sorry for the self-advertisement, but just that reminded me of it. Now to the freakishly small circuit that powers all the segments. You might think there is lots of segments, but there's actually only 7, and you'll see in a moment. The feed tape, if you're not familiar, basically varies between transparent blocks and solid blocks. Solid ones conduct, and transparent like glowstone doesn't. And if you spin it around, you can basically turn the signals on and off. We're going to wire up the bottom segment first. It's going to get quite crazy, so I'm going to sort of hoping it's going to be followable. As you can see now, it's all being powered, and the only reason why it is all being powered is because this block is getting powered and it's automatically powering the ones next to it as well. So that's the bottom one. Then if we go to the one above, which is wired up like this, you can also test that. So now we have the bottom right, and then if we take a look at this one, now it gets a bit weird. You definitely need a glowstone there, else it might interact with the piston there, but that goes around the corner. And the problem now is if I have it wired up, it's going to extend that piston. And to avoid that, we basically pretend that there's a button there that's hooked up, and as you can see, it circles around and doesn't lead in there anymore. So now if I place a button, then nothing's going to happen. So using glowstone and buttons is a very good way to avoid butt switches and to manipulate the wires. And two 1-tick repeaters like that, and that's the bottom left display. Now let's do the one above, which is going to power the middle segment. You can see it's traveling down there, but we can just cut it off. There's actually going to be some pipes in here, so stay close attention. So now we have the middle segment. Then for the top right segment, which again is nothing out of the ordinary, it is repeat like that, and redstone there. So now if we power it, that's the top right one. Then the top left one is going to get a bit more complicated again. Again, we're going to need a button here to avoid that one from being powered. And this one has to travel down quite a bit, and we have a 2-tick delay repeater here. So all the other ones are just 2 1-ticks, but this is 1 2-tick repeater. And then for the top one, which is also a bit weird in a sense, you're going to need a repeater there, so it doesn't power the piston there. And now we're going to... Oh, this is going to be so weird. We're going to have redstone dust there, which is going to power the lamp, and a 1-tick repeater there. And we're actually going to sort of overlap over the repeater. So now that redstone dust gets powered, then the repeater there gets powered. I can actually show it. Let me just place a block there. So it goes over, then powers the repeater there, and if I then place a block there, that gets powered, and then we have the top segment. There's no need for any glowstone or anything like that. That is basically the whole deal with the lapis circuit. Now after that, there's only one thing left to do, and that's place the feed tape, and we have this nice little square gap going on here, so I just go down there. If you know how to do this, go ahead. If you're unsure, the way it works is you'll be varying solid blocks which will power different segments between glass blocks. So if I place a glass block, that second segment will turn off. Now depending on if you want your counter to count up or down, you have to follow my instructions a bit differently. I'll be making it so that it counts up, and that means that I'll be placing solid and glass blocks in an order, but I'll be placing them clockwise in the feed tape. If you want it to go down, simply follow the order I'm going, but instead of placing them clockwise, place them counterclockwise. But be sure to always start at the repeater. So for the bottom one, 0 would be a solid block, then a 1 would be glass, 2 would be solid, 3 would be solid, 4 would be glass. Then we have a little gap here, which is necessary to the piston tape for the piston tape to work. 5 is solid, 6 is solid, 7 is glass, and 8 and 9 are solid. Now for the bottom left segment, I'm going to stop calling the numbers, but I'm just going to basically vary between solid and glass. So for bottom left we get solid, then glass, solid, glass, then we have the gap, glass, glass, solid, glass, solid, and glass. Then the bottom right segment, we get solid, then again solid, then glass, and then the rest is solid. Now for the middle segment we get glass, glass, solid, solid, and we're at the gap, solid, 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 and 7 is glass, solid, and solid. Then we're going to do the top right segment. So that's solid, 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 solid. Then we're at the gap. Then it's going to be glass, glass, and then the last 3 are solid. Then for the top left segment we have solid, glass, glass, glass. Then we're at the gap, solid, 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 glass, solid, solid. And then for the top segment we have solid, then glass, 2 solids, 1 glass, and the rest is solid again. Now if we walk in front of the display we should have a nice 0 going on here, and if we flip the lever it should start counting. It's a lot of blocks moving, so it could be a bit laggy. As you can see, mine works. Now I have to hook it up to a lever, but you can easily hook it up to a signal. Could be a signal from a machine, or from a game, or from a button. But yeah, depending on if you've done it counterclockwise or clockwise, it will either count up or down. If you want a carry signal, so say you want to turn this into a clock or want it to count further than 9, that's also an easy possibility. All you have to do is that once it reaches 0, we actually have another tape running here. Let's quickly hook that up. So it becomes 1 higher, but you get a bit more information from the tape. And then some solid block. And what you can do is you can take this signal anywhere you want, hook it up to a pulse shortener, but now basically every time it reaches 0 you could hook this up to another counter, which then makes it count up. So yeah, you're free to use this signal any way you want, but this is basically the carry. You have to make sure though that it gets power, and all you have to do that is place some redstone dust on top of that. So as you can see now it's carrying, whilst if I click once it stops. So there is the smallest 7-segment display counter in Minecraft to date. I'm sure that someday someone's going to beat this, but for now for now I can be happy. Anyways guys, if this helps you out, be sure to leave a like, and if you have any questions feel free to ask in the comment, and I'll try and answer them the best I can. And if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so, else you might miss out on future content. And yeah, long tutorial, but I think we made something cool, and I hope it works for all you guys. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye.